New Jersey, connecting faith and life. And you're watching Real Faith TV. Woo!
The most important thing in my life has to be my family.
Definitely has to be my family and my friends. They're always there when I need them.
My family is just there for me in anything I do, whether it be basketball, school, everything. My friends, you know, the same thing. And obviously God is a crucial part of my life. I always pray to Him and just ask Him for guidance in whatever I need in life.
The most important thing in my life is staying true to myself and being who I am and not who others want me to be. And the only way I can accomplish that is by relying on God to guide me.
The most important thing in my life would be to try to live as God wants me to and how I've been taught to.
I decide what's important in my life by just taking a step back and realizing what I have in life and what I'm grateful for.
I like to turn to the people who I feel are important in my life to help me make those decisions, whether it be teachers, family members, friends.
What would my parents think is best for me? What would help my future? What is going to lead me on the path towards God?
Where's God on your list of priorities?
God is like on the top, like next to my family.
I try to put God on the top of my list of priorities.
Without God's guidance and without God's purpose, like the purpose that God has given for me, I would not have a list of priorities.
Without Him, like there's definitely nothing that I could do in life because He is the reason for my being.
God has to be on the top of my priorities because faith is the most important thing in life.
I try to keep him on top just because it helps balance everything out.
Whenever I'm stressed or I'm overwhelmed with something, I often turn to God and pray about it, and it helps me get my thoughts under control.
Prayer definitely helps me like prioritize like all the stress in my life and like helps me like be calm.
It's almost like a conversation with God. When I have a question or a concern, I know that I can always turn to prayer and use that to help me prioritize and really figure out what's best for me.
It's a good way to have a conversation with God and ask Him for guidance.
There are a lot of outside forces that are going to influence me on my decisions. It's really important to block all those out and that God's always going to be there for me, my family, my friends, and everything that I want to do in the future, that's not going to matter if I don't have God in my heart and if I don't pray a lot.
The most important thing in my life, or at the top of my priority list.
Carolee, are you kidding me? You're using your cell phone on the set?
No, I'm not. It's not here.
What are you doing?
I was trying to beat my high score on Fruit Ninja.
So Fruit Ninja is a higher priority than the show?
I wouldn't say a higher priority, but I would say it's like a big priority
Maybe
right
you
now.
need to rethink your priorities.
Really, Carolee? Fruit Ninja is even fun. You gotta play Flappy Bird, Carolee.
Hey, all right. So my mom always tells me, Carolee, your frontal lobe hasn't developed until you turn 21. So I don't think my priorities are really a big deal right now, honestly. Like, come on, Charles.
All right, let's get back on track now. And see if we can still learn something about how to set our priorities.
Sounds good. Setting our priorities. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi, everyone. I'm Carolee.
And I'm Charles.
And this is Real Faith TV.
First, we'd like to thank the students from Immaculata High School in Somerville, New Jersey, for helping us open the show today.
And for sharing what they consider priorities in their lives, as well as where they placed God on that priority list.
Two of them, Kayla and Courtney, will be back to share their thoughts as wildcard guests.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Anthony, who is an Immaculata High School graduate.
He will share with us how he defines and sets his priorities.
Let's hear what he had to say.
I set my priorities both on a long-term basis and on a daily basis. On the long term, you have a goal. You want to achieve X, Y, or Z. And you work towards that a little bit every day, but on a daily basis, you have to keep up that discipline. You don't always stay on track naturally. You have to actively think I need to go to mass now. I need to start my homework. I need to reach out to someone who I haven't talked to in a while. You want to have the discipline in the little things so you can live the big things. Ranking my priorities, I try to look at it as selflessly as possible. You want to be objective about it, but at the same time, you want to do what's right in your heart. Forget about the material things, the things that benefit me, and think about showing love to another person, because that's ultimately what you should care about the most. If you try to look at it from God's perspective, the big picture, what's important, that's when you really see what true value is.
You know, I really liked how he said that from his perspective, the way he leads his life is through his priorities, which is something that I would like to do sometimes because, to be honest, like, I'm all about having fun, and sometimes I let my lower priorities take over my higher priorities just because they're a little bit more fun, and I'm guilty of that, and I guess that's something that I would like to improve on.
I think we're all guilty of that from time to time. Let's see what our studio guests have to say.
All right, they are Mike,
Jess,
Greta,
Naira.
and Drew.
So what about you guys? Who or what influences your decisions?
Well,
Priority.
my mama definitely influences my priorities and decisions and all, because she's always saying, like, Greta, God's got to be first on your, like, list of priorities. And sometimes it's not always like that, but yeah, it's always God, then school, then all that other stuff, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I'd say it's probably my godmom because, like, sometimes if I know that I'm not going to be able to make it to church, or, like, she just wants me to go to church with her, she'll be like, come to church with me tonight, or you can come with me to church, and she just makes sure that I get to church no matter what, so.
Well, for me, it's my future self, because I don't want to have to look back and be like, ooh, I wish I would have done that. I think right now I just want to make sure I have my priorities set, so when I go into the future, I have all the goals I want to accomplish going forward.
Setting priorities is not easy, and not all people tend to agree on what should be the most important thing.
In our school environment, it's easy to prioritize our academic work, sports, or extracurricular activities.
Sometimes we prioritize time with friends, boyfriends, or girlfriends over time spent with family or dealing with other important matters.
Just keeping on top of a full schedule becomes a priority itself.
But when we're so focused on the busyness of everyday life, it's easy to lose sight of the eternal things and where we put God in our list of priorities.
Sadly, many of us keep God at the bottom, or perhaps not at all on our list.
Next, our wildcard guest, Courtney, explains why she puts God on the top of her priority list.
Let's hear her now.
God is most definitely on the top of my list of priorities, and I'm really thankful for everything that I've been exposed to in high school, especially my attendance at the National Catholic Youth Conference in Indianapolis, Indiana. That was just an incredible experience. To be in an arena with 30,000 other young Catholics, it really makes you think about how God should be at the top of your priority list. And I can't speak enough about that experience and how much that's truly changed my perspective and really helped me to grow and develop in my faith and put God more in the center and the focus of my life, and really to seek Him in everything I do and in every priority.
Do you find it difficult to make God a priority in your life?
For me, balancing sports with school and church is hard, but I think that's where you have to really buckle down and think, what are my main priorities? And my main priorities now are God, school, and my family.
Yeah, I know that it can sometimes be difficult to find time to pray or to talk to God. I know that personally, sometimes my days are just so busy that I'm doing other stuff that I go the entire day, and it's not until I'm just about ready to go to sleep that I think, hey, I haven't talked to God today, I haven't prayed today.
Like, people may think, oh, I have to make God a priority. Well, that's going to take up so much time. I don't have any more time for anything else. Well, the thing is, if you add God to your daily life, and with the priorities they already have, it'll make it a whole bunch more simpler for you. Making God the priority is difficult in a society that values competition and achievement above all else.
We are taught from a young age that success and hard work are integral to a happy life.
But a life without knowing God and understanding His plan for us will only leave us empty and afraid.
Our spotlight guest, Anthony, shares how he regularly put other things before God.
And how a moment of clarity changed his perspective and placed God as number one.
Going up to, I guess, maybe 6th grade, I was not religious at all. I ignored God. I believed in his existence, but I didn't, definitely not a priority. And I really, I guess, was arrogant in some senses. I thought I could do everything myself. I thought I could figure everything else out myself. It kind of left me empty. I didn't have a happiness. I didn't have really a purpose or a motivation. Personally, what happened was I had moved far away from my home, and I lost my friends. As tough as it was, it gave me an opportunity to look inside myself, to evaluate what I should be doing and what I have been doing. So I realized, listen, God is the right way to go. I've been doing it wrong this whole time. And making that realization and connecting with God, realizing that he's been through every physical pain, every emotional pain that we could ever experience. He's given us life, and he's given us care, and he's loved us. Despite what happens in our lives, despite our situations, he's always there for us. One scenario I can recall vividly of when I kind of changed and started doing something that worked was a couple years ago. I had been working very hard at school. I had been very distracted with activities, and my brother and sister-in-law had a child, my nephew Joey. And as soon as Joey was born, something clicked in my mind, and I realized, why am I spending so much time on this and that when I could be making him smile or helping my brother and just taking off the pressure? Once you see a baby around, it's like you feel the miracle of life. And once you realize that the miracle of life is way greater than any other concern, you start putting that first. And once I started putting that first, and once I started putting my faith first, everything else falls into place. I mean, you're happier, you can do more, and do more not in the sense that, oh, I have more time for activities, but do more in the sense that you have a greater impact on other people's lives. And what else can you really ask for? I think that's the best you can hope to do in life.
How does God's plan fit into your list of priorities?
I don't really think that we know exactly what God's plan for us is. I think we're still kind of like learning that. But while we're still learning, like part of our priorities can be like, we see a homeless man like outside a Wawa, we can just like pray for them and just fit praying into our priorities and just talk to God when we get a chance.
Yep. Going off of what you said about how we don't know what God's plan for us is, I think that a priority on our list should be to be open to changes and to be flexible, because you never know when life's going to take a drastic change. Exactly. And you know, that's God's plan, and it should be our priority to follow that plan wherever it may lead us.
God wants us to succeed in our goals and the things that we are passionate about.
He wants us to stay true to our commitments and fulfill our responsibilities, no matter how important or mundane they may seem.
But he wants the top slot and to not be forced to compete with any of other priorities you set.
Jesus tells us in the Gospel of Matthew, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind."
This is the greatest and the first commandment.
And the second one is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
When we put God and others first on our priority list, we build the kingdom and provide hope to others.
Now let's go back to Anthony, where he discusses the plan God has for him.
And how he calls each of us to live an extraordinary life.
God is an incredibly important part of my life. I was not a religious person at all. And then when I really met God, I guess, started to know God, that's when I realized that's the purpose of life. This is the best thing that you can do. What matters? It's not having fun. It's not going to parties. It's making that difference. It's showing people how we should live. It's giving hope. That's what changes lives. I definitely believe God has a plan for me, and God has a plan for everyone. You can never really know the exact plan God has for you because we're humans. We make mistakes. We make wrong judgment calls. But if you try to live the way He's calling you, if you try to be the best person you can be, if you try to live an extraordinary life in morals, in service, in prayer, you're making that difference. You're changing lives. You're fulfilling that plan. And that's what's going to make you content. That's what's going to give you peace at the end of the day. God's priority list, I would have to imagine that we are atop His priority list. I mean, He gave His only Son for us. He allowed Him to go through that pain and allowed Him to go through that suffering solely so we can overcome our own, solely so we know what to do to get closer to Him.
How can having God in your life as a priority impact others?
Well, setting God as a first priority can ultimately cause a chain reaction because not only are we setting God as our first priority by going to church and praying, we're also by doing good. When you help somebody, that other person that you helped is going to go and help another person, and then so on. So it just continues to snowball into this big helping party.
That is like that movie, Pay It Forward. I love that movie. That little boy is so cute. But like, you help 3 people, and then those 3 people help another 3 people, and it just keeps going on, and then like the whole world is helping each other. It's great. And like, there's no reward to it, just like knowing the fact that you helped people and like that they're out doing good in the world because you helped them. Yeah. I'd feel rewarded if I helped someone and I knew that would happen. I mean, like, it'd be great.
When a person has God in their life and has love in their life and they express love, it can make the biggest deal.
Anytime I go anywhere, I just try to smile at someone and say hi to them and brighten up their day.
I think it's great that you guys have found a way to make God a priority in your life, but I think as I've gotten older, it's been harder for me. When I was younger, I think it was more easier to make God a priority in my life just because I had less things going on. Now that as I grow older and I'm about to go into college, it's harder for me to find time and to just sit with God and pray and just talk to Him.
I can definitely relate with you. Like, I think it's so hard to prioritize God right now. As much as I try to, I feel like other things get in the way. How do we spend our days?
Does what we do during the day show our love for God and our neighbor?
Are we putting others first, or is it always about me?
Is what we do bringing us closer to God?
Is this helping us be more loving people?
Next, let's go to Kayla, our wildcard guest from Immaculata High School, where she'll be talking about how she sets her faith and her service to others as priorities in her life.
There's many different things that I put on the top of my priority list, but one of the most important things is my faith and my service. Twice a year with my school, we go down to Wayne County, West Virginia. It's a very poor area in the country, and it's as if people are living in a third world country down there. Many people don't have jobs, many people go unfed, and so twice a year we go down there and help them. In the winter we go down to throw a Christmas party for the children, and in the summer we go down and help repair homes and fix roofs, build ramps for people who need help getting their houses. It's been a very uplifting experience for me going down there twice a year since I was a freshman, and it's so inspirational to go down there and see the bright faces and the faith that these people have, even though they have so little, and it puts it into perspective for me how it's good for me to go down there and help them in any way that I can, because I'm so blessed and so blessed to have so much that these people don't have.
Prioritizing our faith life can be a challenge.
Especially at a time when we're just coming into our own and making choices that will affect the rest of our lives.
Maybe we can start categorizing parts of our life by setting goals for both long-term and short-term.
We can make notes of the things that clutter up our life and other things that don't necessarily bring us closer to God.
We can think about how we can step away from these things.
Or transform them into ways to be more loving, more giving.
We should also look at the people we surround ourselves with.
Are they people who are supportive of our faith and bring us closer to God?
Or do they just bring us down?
Think about prioritizing those friendships that build you up
and stepping away from those that may be destructive.
Finally, our spotlight guest, Anthony, shares with us some advice on how we should set the right priorities.
And how our priorities will change as we journey through life.
I know how difficult it can be for a young person to set priorities. The 2 pieces of advice I would say is, first of all, you really want to take the time to think about what your priorities are, what you care about, what's right. And second of all, you have to gain discipline in that. And you're not always going to want to do it. You're not always going to want to go that extra mile. You're not always going to want to hold your tongue when you're angry. You're not always going to want to go out of your way to help someone. That's just human nature. But gaining that discipline and sometimes just realizing this is a priority, this is a responsibility, this is even a privilege, I should take that opportunity, I should take that chance to do it. That's the way to really achieve that goal. Priorities change in life constantly. Realize what is a selfish priority and a selfless priority. You might put too much emphasis on a video game or too much emphasis on trying to achieve a goal or making money. If someone is inspecting a boat You're not looking for a solid piece of steel. You're looking for those cracks and you're looking for the crevices. And so in the same way, when you're looking at yourself, don't brush it off and say, well, I did this right. You want to be critical and you want to say, where am I weak? Where am I vulnerable? Because once you know that, then you can fix the problem. Then you can make sure, even though your priorities may change, it doesn't compromise yourself and it doesn't compromise your morals and it doesn't compromise your faith. But also in discerning those priorities, you want to pray about them. You want God's input. You don't want to rely on your own mind. You want to rely on faith. You want to relinquish your own control, and you want to let God lead you to where you're supposed to go, because he is calling you somewhere. And the difficult part is finding out where that place is.
Something I personally struggle with is letting God take control, because I'm a very controlling person and I like to have all the details of everything, and I'm the one who makes an agenda for meetings. Like, I'm a total freak and I color coordinate everything. And just not being able to have that control and be not sure of what's gonna happen or what's coming next is so hard for me. So it's hard for me to reset my priorities and just let him do what he has to do. And it makes it a priority, and it makes me realize that I have to make it a priority, to learn to let go, to pray for understanding.
Yeah, and that's where faith comes in. 'Cause, you know, you're not always gonna be able to say, this is exactly how it's gonna go, I'm staying on this road. You have to have faith that, you know, when something goes wrong or that something can't be planned out, you have to have faith that, you know, it's in God's hands and he's going to take care of it and he's going to make it work out in the end.
I like how Anthony said of how our priorities are always going to shift throughout life, but how we should stay firm in our faith and morals, and hopefully I will be able to do that as I grow older.
When setting good priorities, we should look to the virtues of prudence and wisdom for guidance.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church defines prudence as being the virtue that disposes practical reason,
to discern our true good in every circumstance,
and to choose the right means of achieving it.
Prudence helps forge our character and will help our priorities come into focus.
So where is God on your list of priorities?
We'd love to hear from you.
Contact us at realfaithtv.com.
Or shoot us a tweet.
We'll leave you with this reflection today from Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati.
Pier Giorgio was born into a very prominent and wealthy Italian family in the early part of the 20th century.
A handsome and charming figure, he had every chance to use his wealth for his own selfish purposes, partying, drinking, and gambling.
In fact, that is what everyone, including his parents, expected of him.
But instead, he made his Catholic faith his priority,
dedicating himself to charity and service to others.
He used his popularity and influence to bring his friends to the church and adoration.
He was known for selflessly using his riches to secretly provide medicine and resources for the poor.
Let's look to his example of piety and compassion when we set our priorities. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV.
God bless.
Wait, Damon, am I allowed to finish now? Can I finish playing Fruit Ninja?
Absolutely not.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi. You mean you were driving? Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Good one, son. Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing. Wow! I'm so proud of you, son. And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again. 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun. Wake the sun.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.